This is the Bar Stewards Enquiry.
Right? You're talking absolute rubbish. Absolute rubbish.
In what way?
You were an underachiever in life. I saved your bacon one time. You were gone.
You handled that well. I couldn't save you. But you did the right thing.
But that's why you don't know anything about racing, John.
I didn't say I do.
Right?
I'm saying that...
What have you contributed to racing? You're one of these take-out merchants. Take out all you can.
Hello and warm welcome to the Bar Stewards Enquiry. Yes, we're back. It's Doncaster Leisure Weekend, coupled, of course, with Champions Day at Leopardstown. And then on Sunday, we've got sort of feast of action, and we'll try and just get some fancy bets in at the end there due to time purposes. There's that much glorious racing. So who better to have on the show this week than Jonas Lane and Jack Veach? Good evening, gentlemen.
Good evening, Lee. Evening, John.
Hello, everyone.
Right, of course, you lovely Patreon members are getting it nice and early to try and take any prices that won't be there for you cheapskates that are listening in the morning. So, without further ado, we'll get on with it. Lots to get through when we start tomorrow at Doncaster. Of course, it's the Friday card. There are 5 televised races there, and it starts off with the Betfred Mallard Handicap, a race that I particularly like. I'd like to try and find the winner of. Not very competitive in recent times. Subsequent heads the market at around bottle and a half, 2.5 to 1. John, I'll come to you first for your view on the Mallard.
I'm a little bit disappointed with it, to be honest. The one I really fancied had been taken out. I'd be rocking along with Subsequent, hoping that the struggle last time at HQ was down to the shitty surface.
Yeah, 106% as well, so it did very well to win, did Subsequent. It looked unimpressive, obviously, and in trouble some way out, but he looked like that at Salisbury when he beats at Spaceport off a crawl, and 112% didn't suit him at Goodwood when he finished 5th there over the mile and a half there. I think Course and Trip will suit him down to the ground. Jacker.
Yeah, nice and easy for me. I agree with John. I think Subsequent's the one to be with. I thought 5 to 2 was pretty fair. Maybe a good idea to skip a tough enough Melrose to come here and rock up as rightful fav. Bit of a 3-horse race, really. I thought the negative for East India Dock was the step back in Trip. I think that's needing every yard of 2 miles at the minute. So didn't think the step back to 1.6.5 here was a positive. And Shadow Dance, whilst running very well last time out, that's a big weight to carry, and it's another does a varying horse back up its run. So I was pretty confident on Subsequent myself.
Good stuff, mate. We have a trio of agreements here. Subsequent also for me, that this was my Melrose horse. It wouldn't have won the Melrose, I don't think. But I certainly think that it can win this tomorrow. East India Dock, another negative, even though Moore's in the saddle, they did stick the £5 kid on who's really good, that Doughty. So whilst Ryan's obviously in a class of his own, I also think with the £6 penalty and the £5 off from the young lad last time, it might not be all straightforward for that. And as Jack says, the step back in Trip. So Subsequent unanimous vote from the Bar Stewards. 225, Flying Scotsman, flying along like we are. 7 furlong event, listed contest, and of course the big eye catcher, certainly on everybody's probably trackers, radars, potentially brilliant horse. It was John Quill, who did incredibly well to win on debut at Sandown, and he heads the market around the 6 to 5 mark, I believe. Jack, I'll come to you first on this.
I think it's certainly right favourite, but unfortunately right price, and obviously with the scrutiny around the stout yard this week, and the fanfare that there's unlikely to be much juice in that price tomorrow. I'd be interested if it were to drift maybe around the sort of 6 to 4 plus mark. But I was quite deeply impressed with that Sandown maiden, and what was really impressive I feel was how strong he was on the pull up. He almost did another lap round Sandown that day. So clearly a horse with a big old engine on him, and one that I'd love to see continue moving in the right direction. I tried to have a look for a bit of a bet outside of his. God of War's an interesting horse. They skipped the Acomb. He's had kind of decent entries, and they've decided to come here. Obviously won here last start over course and distance, but I'd just quite like to see John Quill win this and win it well. So probably one I'm going to sit out, to be honest.
I think you've summed that up rather well. We shouldn't be agreeing too much as lot, but I think you're right. I think he could be a special horse, but 6 to 5, I'm not really bouncing at that. I would probably have some shekels in the place markets on the machine on Mr. Chaplin. I like him a lot physically. He's going the right way. And by the way, we have to back the Acomb form. The Lion in Winter, I think the Acomb form definitely needs following. I mean, Jouncey was second to Symbol of Light, all right, in a weak Cyrenia, Kempton. But I do think it's probably the best form on display this side of the water anyway. I think that form really has to be followed. And Mr. Chaplin at double figures at 12-1. It caught my eye staying on late last time out from the worst of the draw. He's a fine big horse, and I think he'll carry on progressing throughout the autumn. So he'd be my little squeak just for shekels on the place markets. John?
I can't really add to anything that's already been said, in all fairness.
It's not your sort of price, is it? 6-5 about the Barons?
I think he's a nice horse in the making. It may be coming soon enough a fortnight after debut. If there was one I was interested in to see how it got on, it maybe with the Godolphin one first time gelded. But I've not really thoughts about having a bet, to be honest.
Yep, good stuff, mate. 3 o'clock, it's the Flying Childers, where Big Mojo heads it up. I'll kick us off. I'd like to see the ground tomorrow. It's riding a bit slower than good, but not as slow as I thought it might do today on the straight track. Sort of 2.5, 2 seconds slower than standard, that kind of times, which for good horses, it probably is sort of good to soft. If it dries out tomorrow to good ground, and obviously he's not going to water, he's not that stupid, even though they are stupid. Big Mojo, I felt, would be the one to beat. And I think 3-1 is very fair at the moment, because watching the Jim crack back, the nice move on the bridle this made, travelling powerfully, it would have won the Jim crack at 5.5 furlongs. It just literally didn't get the 6, emptied out late doors. I think there's nothing not to like about it. I think it's a perfect track for him as well, this Doncaster. I think the Goodwood 5 didn't show him up in the best light, and I think Doncaster's 5 is perfect for him. John?
Yeah, I like Big Mojo. I'm also interested in Ain't Nobody, who I think the folks have overreacted to the flop at the July course when he went up to 6 furlongs. I would excuse anything a shit run on the piss heap, in all fairness. Prior to that, he's shown a liking for a stiff 5 when he was the only one to catch the 60-mile-an-hour horse at Royal Ascot. I think my play in this would be to back Ain't Nobody and save on Big Mojo.
Okay, mate. Ain't Nobody yet. I like it. I loved his first 2 runs. So, like you say, you forgive the last run. He's a big price at 16s. Jack?
Sorry, lots of agreeing today, but I mark Big Mojo as probably my strongest bet tomorrow. 3-1's under 3-1's under a bit of pressure, but I agree with what you said about the Jim Crackley. Made a nice move a little bit too soon. I think he just hit the front a bit too soon and didn't see out his race. And back at 5 here, as you said, the ground isn't quite as bad as we thought it was, with a bit more drying out to do overnight and tomorrow. It's just he's another big Evs in the making, isn't he? To use a bit of a cliche that others will, I'm sure. But he looks very quick, and I think the 5 here will see him in good light. And I made him probably a point shorter than 3-1, so I was quite happy to make that a strong enough selection.
We're already very terrible. I mean, I even agree with your price. I was just about to say, I think he's 2-1, 9-4. Like, you've just come in and people think we've been like conferring, which we never do. It's bizarre. What a bizarre start. We're all agreeing. Well, I know we'll all agree on this one. Gin and Pate race, 3:35, the Doncaster Cup. What are the idiots doing over at Ballydoyle, John? Running Point Lonsdale over 2 mile 2.
They're convinced he stays, aren't they?
They're idiots.
Lunacy.
Absolute lunatic. No, it didn't get 2 mile. Last time, I know we'll go 2-2. If that wins tomorrow, honestly, I'll let him free 20 new Patreon members for a month on the Barstio's Extra level. How's that? First 20 to come along, take it along, and you can have a month on me if Point Lonsdale wins that tomorrow. Absolutely no chance whatsoever. So that's enough of stuff. I've put it before it now. Jacko.
Yeah, agreed. I think I've made that point before. I don't get it really with him. I don't think he stays a yard over 12, let alone the 2 mile 2 here. It's shaping up to be a very boring race. There's fuck all pace on. You got a lot of kind of travelly merchants like Sweet William there, and Coltrane won't go forward. I think he's dead. Trushan, pulls harder than Callum Best, as we know. Will they let him bowl along forward? Do I remember she did that in the end last year in this race and it worked out? So maybe that's the play. But boring, but I think Gregory will probably take a lead, and if Doyle gets it right in front, might be hard to pass. He looks slow as anything, and I think the extra 2 furlongs here, but from York will be a positive, and I'd probably have him favourite, but I'm not in a big rush to go and back him, to be honest.
John, you love these kind of races, don't you?
I'll be watching Parn and masturbating.
Yeah, could go with that. That's kind of fits for that kind of race. Yeah, what a boring race that is.
It is.
4:10. We finish off Friday at Doncaster with a Fillies handicap. We love a Fillies. Cabrera heads the market at 2-1. Come on, Jack. You've got the winner of this, surely.
Well, I think I know John's going to be with, but I'll let him make that case. One I like is Beatrice Shilling. Thought that was a pretty eye-catching run last time out at Salisbury. She had quite a lot of trouble in running, and I think she finished better than the sort of fourth place, 3.5 lengths behind Alonzi would suggest. And I don't think that's a bad mark that she's on off a mark of 80, off a sort of lowish weight here. I think there's probably a race to be had in her. I think the favourite's strong enough, but is beatable. So if I can really be bothered, I'd probably be with Beatrice Shilling, who I think has got a few pounds in her and is capable of winning this, I'd say.
Okay, I know John put up Bissell Pilsner's 5 to follow this season, but if you're a member of the Bar Stewards Early Bird Service, you'll be aware that you'll already be on Cabrera at around the 2-1 mark, because that's an early bird bet. And I just think this filly, an absolute good thing. She beat Miss Cynthia at Doncaster, which was initially poo-pooed as beating one that doesn't win, which sort of fair comment, but Miss Cynthia come out and thump Frank Elliott next time. Last time out, didn't get the mile and 6. I think that's what basically beat her last time. I thought she ran a blinder. 11 clear of the third, Vera Verta, who was second to Pridwen in the big handicap at Killarney off 88. Thumped that 11 lengths. So I think it's very strong form. Second to the Gavin Cromwell Raider. So Cabrera, nothing not to like. And if there's still any 2-1, 7-4 knocking about, by the time you listen to this, it wants taking for me. I think probably a 5-4 chance Cabrera. John?
Yeah, I think the race is between Cabrera and Mr. Pillies. Possibly favour Cabrera because I don't think there'll be enough pace on for Mr. Pillies. So I think it'll be a city out job for me at those prices.
Yeah, cool. So that's day one completed. We have done day one of Doncaster in nice sharp time. Right, so looking towards a lucky 15 at the end of the show, obviously to give our listeners, any there that sort of would possibly make the grade? What are we thinking?
I think everybody was fairly strong on subsequent, weren't they?
We're going to put in subsequent as our first one for the lucky at around the 5-2 mark. That's in the bag. Anything else, Jack, that's worthy of going in, perhaps?
Big Mojo would be the only other one for me.
What we'll do, we'll go with subsequent, as all three were sweet. I know John even sort of like wants to save on Big Mojo. So Big Mojos are possible to make the lucky. We'll see how the tipping goes on the Saturday, but subsequent definitely in for now. Saturday then, very, very busy. We're going to cover 6 races at Leopardstown and the 4 televised races at Doncaster. So we shall go Leopardstown first. It's the 110 race, and it's the Ingabelle Stakes, the listed race, the Ballylinch stud-sponsored contest. And Bubbling, the filly of Aidan O'Brien's, heads the market at 2-1. Chantes of Lions is 9-4, and it's an interesting little race. I thought this one, I've got an opinion here, but I'll just let you two have a go at it. John, did you have a look at this?
I had a look at it. It's one of them races that I'm going to watch and form opinions after and establish a bit of a pecking order. Because I think there's quite a few and improvement in here.
Yeah, you're right on that. Jack?
I'll probably revert to you for your stronger opinion, Lee, but I did watch the debut of Mojave River, who I thought was interesting, won quite a valuable maiden in Deauville, and Joseph's to win first time up in decent fashion. We've not seen loads of that this year, so I think that might be quite smart. And the other that was interesting was the Harrington horse, Nancy J, who again was relatively impressive on debut. There was a recent gallop, I believe, at the Curragh that a couple of people I know attended, and this was particularly sparkling, I believe, and there was some big chat around it. So I think they're expecting this to be quite a decent filly. So yeah, probably similar to John. I'll probably watch more than back anything here. But I mean, she's around 16s at the minute, so I'll probably stick a few quid there if I can and see how we get on.
No, I like your opinion. No, it's good. It's good. It's good that you've mentioned those two as well. I think this Bubbling is an incredibly good filly. She's got a very ungainly head carriage, a little bit high, which might put some people off, but she showed a lot of class last time at Galway, belting clear, still not knowing what the game was about. She's got an awesome stride. Nice big filly. She was 4th on debut, and the Girl Lions actually beat her on debut. But what I will say is that she got a very sympathetic ride, Bubbling, that day. And I like the ride. I love that soft introduction. There was nothing much from the saddle, just ran on quite nicely. And I really think she's going to take a massive step forward today, like another huge leap. And I think she's going to be pretty tough to beat. For me, she definitely beat Shantez of Gers, because Gers are quite well drilled on debut. I think Bubbling definitely reverses the form there. Be very surprised if that's not the case. And another one at a big price was Answer to Bed. Again, another one of the Baby Josephs. This did incredible sectionals at Leopardstown 2 starts ago. Second faster than anything on the card and 2 seconds faster than everything in that race. Obviously, possibly wasn't the best of heats, but was on the wrong part of the track, I felt, just away from the action in that sales race at Nars last time. So expect another step forward from her, because she's back to the track where she did run very, very well the time before. I think she could outrun her odds of, I think, 20 to 1. Okay, we'll move on. The 140 is the Champions Juvenile. Delacroix heads the list at 6 to 4. 2 to 1 Green Impact. And then it looks pretty much a 3-runner race, because you've got Bernard Shaw in at 3 to 1 and Green Triangle is the rag. Intriguing affair, this, chaps. John, coming to you first.
I like Delacroix. I have no intention of backing him at that price, because these small fails can get a bit funny. But I think he's the best horse and probably the one to think about going forward.
I like what they did last time, right? So obviously they started him over the mile, then they dropped him to 7, and Ryan knew he had to sort of get after him some way out, because all he does, he's a galloper, and probably going to be end up in next year's ledger or something like that. But he looks like that kind of horse, and Ryan was after him again to teach him, I think, to basically say, come on, this is your job. And I liked him the way he knuckled down and stretched clear. So the step back to a mile will be perfect. You think that Green Impact, market leader, he had Bernard Shaw behind him when he was second on debut at the Curragh, and he beat Delacroix last time on Delacroix's debut, but Delacroix was just not clued up. Green Impact was far more savvy, had first run. I think Delacroix will reverse that form with Green Impact, so I agree with you there. But I think Bernard Shaw's another one that could just step into life. And read your notes last time. He fucked all over these. I love John's notes. Like, he should do the Racing Post. In fact, it's a business idea for Racing Post, John. A paid subscription, an extra subscription to get the adult notes. You'd be a legend, mate.
They're missing a stick,
Yeah. So I'm sort of Delacroix, Bernard Shaw here. It's one of them. I favour Delacroix, obviously more does, but I wouldn't be surprised if Bernard Shaw turned a lot over. But all weather to maybe turf, but at least it's probably going to be quick conditions, so it'd be okay. Jack?
I think, the one to probably avoid is the Harrington horse, who I think the 2 Aidens have shown more and probably have more progression in them. And I guess Delacroix certainly the right favourite. I mean, collateral form is always subjective, of course, but the horse that Bernard Shaw fucked all over, as John eloquently put it, was thumped by Acapulco Bay, who was beaten by Delacroix pretty easily last time out. So I think that probably sums up the ordering of the two. But just not an interesting betting race, but two decent horses I think will be worth keeping in your notebooks for next year.
You'd be surprised if Ryan don't just go straight up front on Delacroix, wouldn't you? Because he's got to do. You can't be taking a lead on that and expecting that to quicken past off a slow pace.
He doesn't mess about in these kind of races, does he, really?
No, he went to front last time over 7. He knows what he's got under him. And I think Ryan would be an idiot. He's not an idiot if he did. From stall 1 as well, just bounce it out and get on the bunny. And there we go. 2:15 is the Tonybet Solonaway Stakes, Group 2. 15:08 for Diego Velasquez. Maljoom, who Norman's tried to smuggle half a chicken today into Doncaster. I don't know how he's got on past the Doncaster Gestapo. But Adam Norman said that Maljoom last time looked a particularly nasty piece of work in the prelims. One to oppose next time out. And of course, Adam loves a nice, calm, big filly. He doesn't like these nasty shirt horses who seem to be getting loads of headgear on them this summer. It seems, John, that Somerville House has got a bucket full of nasty horses this summer.
I think it's got a dungeon and got loads of stuff there to apply, chifneys and lip chains and
Yeah.
stuff like that.
Don't know what's going off there.
I thought Maljohn looked at York as though he probably could go the wrong way quite easily.
Yeah, he's been a bit disappointing.
He's got a checkered physical history, and for me, he'd be one to oppose. Diego Velasquez, again, they haven't had a clue what his trip is, have they? Let's be fair. I mean, it was midsummer and they were going over a mile and a half, and they expected him to win over a mile and a half. I don't like these type of horses, these tripless wonders. And I think taking that into context and the worries over Maljohn, I think Mutasarref, consistent proven form at this level, effective round here.
Yeah.
I think it's a really solid each-way bet off a good draw.
If I had to play, and I don't want to play this, that's where I'd be. I'd be looking at the bullets fired for the places on Mutasarref, because that will hit its mark, which on balance is going to be good enough to make the frame on looking at the other runners. Jack?
Yeah, sounds like parrot form, doesn't it? But I can assure you, Mutasarref is where I landed too. I think Diego Velasquez not a miler for me. Drawn out in 12 as well. That's going to be quite tricky. I suppose Ryan will just try and get across and get in front as best he can, but it's not quick enough for a mile. Maljohn's feeling like one going the wrong way, probably over the top for the year. I think they've struggled to kind of get him back ever since that St James's Palace when he was 3. So it's been a long road, but I don't think the shirt's managed to quite get there. So yeah, Mutasarref, I thought that was a strong piece of form last time out. The time was pretty good, and obviously you've got Mountain Bear and Lord Masusus. They all fought out the finish. He's £3 better off with the pair actually here. So I'd struggle to kick him out the frame, and he might even go one better. So he's definitely worth a few quid each way.
Good stuff, mate. It's parrot form for Bastion so far. We need a winner takes all. We have a difference of opinion, Jeffrey. Jack will understand what I'm on about there. An old 80s show with Tarby. Called Jimmy Tarbuck.
The voice behind the mic.
Yeah. God, I'm showing my age now. 250 at Leopardstown is the Matron Stakes, where after this we might all be crying, nurse, we need some help. Just 250. Porta Fortuna heads the market at 11.08.
No, it's one of them parnet on nurses.
Yeah, nurse outfits for John online around this time. Someone actually said the other day, I think Big Mac actually did a piece back on the morning line back in the day. They showed an half-naked lady sat up in bed and gesticulated.
Yeah, I saw that.
Patricia Gill, she was.
Yeah, if only there were a podcast around that did this nowadays. It's us. We do it. Listen,
I looked her up on Facebook. She hasn't aged well.
Not even 1 foot cellar, John.
No,
Right,
the Matron, I think.
Right, the Matron. Poor Fortuna, it is fav, and it should be fav, and it is the right price. It's filly form. Do they go over the top? How do they keep them going? I don't know. She's had a nice break since the Falmouth, but the form is absolutely cock solid. You can't knock it. I suppose if she runs a race and gets the run of the race, 11.08 might look big afterwards. That's how I saw it. But will we have parrot form here?
I think we will, sadly. It's just hard to grab her, really, isn't it? She's lost once this year when arguably she should have won in the Guineas. I thought El Malka nicked that really off a bit of a pace collapse up the top, and it's just hard to oppose her. 3-year-olds tend to dominate this race. 8 out of the last 10. I think the weight kind of tends to tell at this time of year when they're pretty much on a par with each other. Fallen Angel, interesting change of colours, maybe more a sermon chap, but I was very surprised that Clipper sort of departed with a homebred classic winner. That was a bit strange for me, but obviously she's had her setbacks, and I'm not sure how cherry ripe she'll be. They might have a target at the end of the season for her. Ylang similar to Diego Velasquez. Not sure that's a miler. Still don't really know what she is, but that was a pretty deplorable effort last time out, so I couldn't be with her. The Willie McCreary horse Jancis is interesting. I mean, he'd strike me as a fairly shrewd operator, and to chuck her in off the back of two runs, and a very impressive win last time out in a Group 3. But she's just got so much to find to beat a horse like Porta Fortuna, and the conclusion is that 11-8 is probably pretty fair. I'm afraid to say.
Nothing, not to like what you've said there, John.
Yeah, good price.
There we go. 11. In a way, it reminds me of the sort of price that, today, it sounds a bit Chris Pooley, but the Godolphin one, it is though, isn't it? Anyone listening now. The Godolphin one in the Mail just looked a bit, to be odds against, to just basically run your race. And I think we're in a similar scenario here. If she runs to her level and there's no problems in trip, and it's just going to win, isn't it? She's going to win. I'm surprised that they put these in at these sort of prices, because if I'm a book, I'm thinking, well, I want to make you take the odds. I'm going to put her in at 10 to 11 because I want to make you buy her rather than get more back than your stake. I don't understand how they're pricing these up at that, because it don't make any sense. Yelang's not going to do anything. We talked about Fallen Angel. Jack talked about Jancis as an interesting contender, but that's all they are. It's just interesting contender. That's interesting. But that's about it. Exactly.
You're making catchphrases from other podcasts now.
Porta Fortuna is another unanimous decision that might end up being a banker lucky the way we're going on here. We'll come to that at the end of Saturday's proceedings. Right, the 325 is the Royal Bahrain Irish Champion, the Biggie. I'll start us off by just giving a bit of info. You know what info's like. But Auguste Rodin has worked badly for a while now, and there's honestly, Ryan, I think, picks this out probably out of loyalty. We saw how he got it wrong today on one in the Mail and the other one of O'Brien's January. But then again, Auguste Rodin, just because he's working bad. Apparently, I was told the other day that he couldn't get past his lead horse, and that's something he's never done. He's always at least gone past it, even if he has to, and he couldn't get past his lead horse. So again, at 3-1, I'm not rushing to take that. Economics at 11-8. Well, it looks a very, very smart animal. He did very well to mow down JRB and beat him like he did. But for me, again, I like to go with races that I know are concrete. I think the Akerm's concrete, as I said earlier, and I think the Juddmonte is concrete. And Ghostwriter at a whopping 12-1 is, if this wasn't Clive Cox training it, and it was somebody like, I don't know, somebody just more fashionable than Clive, I think Ghostwriter would be a shorter price.
Harriet Bethel.
Yeah, Harriet Bethel. Genius is Harriet. She is.
Harriet trained.
Absolutely. If you think, right, this is 4.5 lengths behind City of Troy in the Juddmonte. If City of Troy's in this race, he's going to be shorter than Economics. Economics would not be shorter than City of Troy to win this race. If City of Troy was running this, he'd be putting about even money, I think. Even money 11-10. There might be 9-4 Economics, probably 6 as Auguste Rodin. So if City of Troy is going to be 11-10 chance in this, then how can Ghostwriter be 12s, 4 lengths behind it? Ghostwriter cannot be far away in this. He's had a multiple Group 1 winner 3 lengths behind it, a filly of blue stocking. I don't get the betting for Ghostwriter to be 12s, and that's where I'm at. Los Angeles shouldn't be underestimated either in this. I think that's probably a smidgen of value around 5s plus. So I'm going to come to you guys now. John, what's your take on it?
I think the lads have got a plan here.
Go on.
I think we're in Grundy and Bustano territory.
Yeah.
I think they're going to try and burst Economics. Now, I know that sounds quite radical when the horses burst the blood vessel.
Right.
It's all fair in love and war. I think they've got the perfect setup to do it as well. They've got Hans Anderson to go like stink. They've got Los Angeles, the proven 12 furlong horse, to kick on 4 furlongs out. Luxembourg can track him through and go for it from the turn in. And then there's Ryan sat chilly on August Rodin to pick up the bits. Tom Marquand's a big, big problem on Saturday.
I see where you're coming from.
And I think this will set up lovely for Ghostwriter. We're going to go like Sting, and I think Ghostwriter was just doing plenty in his hands last time. I think he could put up an improved performance.
Yeah, he's a good horse. He's really underestimated. He was 33s was ridiculous last time out, and he's just underestimated. It's incredible. Fourth in the Guineas, fourth in the French Derby under unsuitable conditions in the Eclipse, and runs a grand race last time out, as you said, John, doing a little bit too much. Incredible, really. It's because it's unfashionable. It's Clive Cox and Kingscote. It's just not.
I can't stress enough what a headache Tom Marquand's got in this race. For me, he's got to out-ice the Iceman and sit chillier than Ryan. And I don't know whether he'll have the bottle to do it.
Good points. Like I say, the info I started off on, as I say, it's info in it. You know what info's like. It's either sometimes it can be really good, sometimes it's appalling. But Auguste Rodin, if he is going the wrong way, I still can't be taking 3-1. But
no way they'll put Auguste Rodin in the heat of the battle until the very death if he has been working shit. So that plan will stand up.
One thing with Auguste Rodin is rarely does he seem to sort of back performances up since his 2-year-old campaign. He seems to put a good one in and then an absolute stinker. So he's had his stinker last time. One of them, he's like back to his best. And I don't know if he's going to have a stud career or a successful one, but
he's one of my least favourite Ballylinch.
Yeah, I don't like him. But Jacko, let's go for it, mate.
Yeah, so economics here is like probably the equivalent of let's bring a sort of Davis analogy into this. It's like Paolo Di Canio in his pomp at West Ham, running the show, best player on the pitch, but you're at the Den against Millwall. Everyone's throwing stuff at you, and the whole world wants to kill you. So I agree with John's analogy. You can see it being a horrible old passage for economics, and we know that he is a bleeder, and I know the shirt said he hit his head, and I still don't buy that theory, and I know he's gone on and won very nicely last time out, but if they do put him to the max as such here, he could be in trouble. And looking at some of the others, this is a prep run for a few of these for the Arc. Certainly is for Los Angeles over a trip that's probably shy. The Jap horse, who I don't know a whole lot about, but they've always said, Arc's the main target, as it always is. So Ghostwriter, this is probably his cup final, isn't it? There won't be any other massive big targets for this for the rest of the year. And as long as Kingscote can kind of stay out of the crap that's going on in front of him, he'd be certainly good enough to pick up a place. And, you'll probably get decent odds for that. I wouldn't be in a rush to take it now. You could see that being a drifter because no one's really going to get behind that on the day with all the other stuff going on. So, yeah, more parrot form, but sort of Ghostwriter to place would be the best bet in here for me.
Interesting. 4:00 Leopardstown. Here we go. The last one we're covering on their card. It's a Group 3, another Tonybet race. We're here to play stakes. Tonybet, why weren't you sponsoring the big one? Sponsor the big one, and then you'd really make it into the world of bookmaking. It's a Group 3. It's for fillies and colts and geldings, horses that have not won a Group 1. Klondike heads the market for the shirt. Tom Marquand, who might be wondering how economics has stopped to nothing in the 325 after Ballydoyle have eaten him for breakfast, John.
He'll still be shaking when he gets on this.
Thoughts?
I'll make my bit easy and say I had fuck all opinion in here, to be honest with you.
All right, okay, that's fine, because it's not everybody's cup of tea. I've got my best bet of the weekend.
Ooh.
In this. Samaya of Dermot's. We put this out as a strong bet last time at Cork. He did very well to win off soft fractions and thrashed Trevornans in the end. Around a track, really, that you can't really get away with such tactics because Cork is relatively sharp in nature, and she unleashed a terrific turn of foot to overhaul Trevornans comfortably in the end. That horse since finished second in a Group 2 at Deauville. There's nothing not to like about the form. It's strong enough form to win a Group 3. And whilst this is not a bad Group 3, you've got Trust Your Instinct, Klondike, etc. I like how they've handled this filly. She's a late developing filly. They've given her time. She won a maiden last year. She was very unlucky to get beaten by Thunder Roll on reappearance. She had a wide trip behind Candleford at the Curragh and ran an absolute belter. Nothing went right for her in that race. And then against Trevornans last time, she finally showed what she can do And given that the circumstances weren't ideal, I think Samaya at 9-2 is an outstanding bet. I think she's a quality filly. I think she's going to really progress into potential Group 1 territory and reward their patience. And I reckon, given the 92 days off for this filly, this is the race they've aimed for since that last win. They've thought, win the Munster Oaks, and then there's a race back at Leopardstown in September for the autumn campaign to finish. I like it a lot. Samaya is a strong bet for me, John.
If you cast your mind back to early August, I put Samaya up for the Yorkshire Oaks. I'm still grizzling that she didn't run because I think she'd have won it. So obviously, I'm all over her here at 92.
She certainly will make our lucky, I think, if you like it as well. Just give me to double the confidence. So Samaya will be in our lucky, coupled with Subjective, 2 in there, and with 2 to decide. As we move on to Doncaster for the Ledger card, we've got 4 races to cover at Doncaster, and we start with a pretty underwhelming Champagne Stakes. John.
Well, it's my bet of the week.
Oh, I like this.
I'm all over Aftermath.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
This horse was basically a moron on his debut. It was like first day at school, and this kid's got off a sunshine coach when he's around. He didn't have a blank clue. Physically, he's all there. He's a beautiful looking horse. Tremendous makeup to him, scope, everything you'd want in one. But the mind on debut was somewhere else. 4 furlongs out, he was struggling to lay up. 3 furlongs out, he was going to be a bad fourth. He's finished second. He's shown me more than enough to suggest he can compete at this level. And given the amount of improvement that I think he's open to, I think 16-1 is absolute rock and roll here.
Superb. I loved your comments like on your note saying about one of the best actions you've seen all season. But look, completely gormless, ran on well, group class in time, will come on for this. Yeah, love it. John loves the price, and he's got one here at 16-1 with the fantastic looking.
I was gagging for him to run in this. He was in 2 maidens as well at the weekend. I thought he'd go for the Champagne.
Before coming to Jack, I'd just say that Wolfer Badenoch has been cut from 6s to 4s. How they put this in at 6s, I've no idea, given that he's got the best form in the race. Second to Amori City. Cool and Luke was 3rd. That's won the Gym Crack. Tiger Mask was 4th. That wasn't beaten far at Sandown behind Field of Gold.
Favourites of place, really.
I don't understand how they've got Chancellor in at 2-1. It absolutely beggars belief.
To me, the place there.
Yeah, that form last time is absolutely nothing. I know Brave Missions won at Kemp. It beat an horse of Gosling's that looked very tricky, to be honest. The third horse, Richard Annan, has been thumped 10 lengths by John.
That thing.
Yeah. How is it 2-1-5 on the back at 3 runs? That is mental. It's a complete lay day, payday, Chancellor. Wolfer Badenoch is the form choice. That should be at the head of the market. It's a ridiculous, even still at 4-1. Aftermath, as John says, you have to pay very close attention to John's notes. Pay your £9, you will get John's notes, and they are terrific insight into certain horses and why John thinks they will progress. It really is a joy to read these notes. And of course, that's why they always end up in my notes, because they're that good. If they weren't good, they won't be in it. There you go. Jacker.
I think my opinion here is that I could back every horse in this race, maybe with the exception of Monumental, other than Chancellor. I couldn't have him. I didn't like how he performed in the Ascot race, the Pat Edery, when went off a strong favourite. And I've heard a few bits, as we said with info, that he's got a bit of a wind issue, this horse. So I don't think if they ask much from him, they're not going to find a lot. I think he's just a bit of a travelly thing. He's in much better company here. So I think the way I'll play it is probably have a few quid on John's, which is certainly not worthy of being the rag of the field. I mean, it's I know we said about stable jockey choices, but it's the choice of Wayne Lorden. He could have picked the other one if he wanted, and yeah, get Chancellor kicked out the frame. That would be the way I look at it.
Yeah, and you got Rab on it and all. I mean, another idiot. Gradleys, if you listen to this, or any of your ilk listen to this, what are you doing? Like picking Avelin over Shepherd, you absolute plums. There you go. I like that opinion there. Some really good stuff there, chaps. Thank you. 225. The Betfred Portland. I don't want an opinion on this. This is where we need to wheel Davis in for 2 minutes to give his like spiel. He loves shit like this, and I fucking hate them. John.
Quite often I have an horse in mind for the Portland. This year I haven't.
So that's it. That's me and John's input for you on the Portland. Jack.
I can add a little bit here, and I will defer to Davis for the specialist look at this one. But I'm having a few quid on the total rag as things stand here. Waddell for everyone's favourite father-daughter combo of Safi and Jamie Osborne. I just see the way I know we're kind of early prices Thursday, but I don't understand how they've chucked this in at the rag. I thought the third last time out at Goodwood was a really strong run. He completely ballsed up the break. He was held up in last. Sergeant Wilco and Takarid Bay were always handy, and I thought he made loads of ground towards the end to finish a decent third. He was a decent horse with the fetus Donica. Jamie's had a couple of runs out of him now. Didn't show much on first effort. Big step up last time out, I thought, and I think he's shown he can run pretty well off a marker 95. Now, whether being drawn in trap 2 is going to be a good thing, I'm not sure, but you got Manila Scouse next to him. That tends to go off pretty quick. I was watching back a few renewals of this race. They do sometimes go far side on the Saturday, depending on sort of what the ground's been like throughout the week. But it's not out of the realms of possibility. So yeah, I couldn't see why this had been put in at as big as 66s, but kind of general 33s, 40. So yeah, as things stand, I'll be having a few quid on Waddell.
Love it. Yeah, Jamie and Safi. Yeah, a combination that everyone wants to win. 3 o'clock. It's the Park Stakes, the Betfred Park Stakes. I'm in shell shock here that initially they put Kinross in at 5-2. I don't know who's doing these prices, but you're not helping Big Copy. It's ridiculous, man. I know Jack might like Lake Forest there. I've got a feeling he will. But this horse has lost absolutely no ability. The only thing I'm worried about is drying ground. If it dries out too much for Kinross, I might have to move on into Jacko's camp here. But we'll have to monitor things. But if this is
Dick Reading's in the 60s all day, you're not going to worry, are you?
No, the York was rattling. Absolutely. There's no wonder they took it out. This is a class act. There's no ability loss. I mean, Montecibes won the Sprint Cup. Kinross was 3/4 length second. Millstream in the July Cup. It wasn't his best, but nothing really got into it. And it's the July course. We're not bothered about it. The audience race in the Lennox was a farce. As we start power led, an audience followed him. Kinross was out with the washing. To say he's lost his ability is premature, and I just don't get it. And Kinross that turns up at his best would be probably a shade of odds on for this. I feel that if the ground's not too quick, I shall be playing on the day on that horse. John?
Couldn't agree with you more, in all honesty. I don't think the ground will be fast enough for Lane Artist. I think he wants it absolutely rattling to show his best. And we don't know if Lake Forest's going to go in the stalls, do we?
Poor Jack. Haggis has been the cruelest man to Jack this summer. We've had conversations this summer, and Jack's in a straitjacket with the amount of anti-purse bets he's had on shirt horses. For that to happen on the day when Jack's saying, at last, I've got one. I've got an anti-purse bet he's actually declared it for, and it didn't go in the stalls. I mean, Jack, you cannot make this shit up. Are you going to smash Lake Forest?
Almost like looking at the horse on the race card makes me feel a bit ill, to be honest, at this point. But look, I the case remains as it was pre-York, I suppose, other than the dicking about at the stalls. So I still think the horse is gagging for a 7th furlong. I think Doncaster would be a suitable track for it at sort of 5-1 plus. I'm going to have to back him. I wouldn't be as strong as I was in that bag of shit race at York. This is a lot deeper than that. I couldn't agree more on Kinross too. think lead artist I'm against as well. Ground 1 point from John, but also at Goodwood, I thought it was a good ride by Schumacher. I haven't said that very much this summer, but he got him out in front. Didn't have much competition for the lead, and I thought the ride kind of won it that day. But you'll have the likes of sort of Poet Master who'll go forward, Bulgaria potentially Pogo as well. So he's not going to get that easy on Saturday. So yeah, it'll be a bit of split stake wankering, Lake Forest and Kinross for me.
Good stuff, mate. You deserve to win on this. If anyone deserves a winning race, and if you play on that, you deserve it. The luck god should be looking down on you and stop laughing at you, and should absolutely pulls of and they're looking at you and like going frustrated in your little office and saying, "Fucking hell, fucking bastard shirt." They should be like absolutely giving you gold after this race for the summer you've had on your anti-purse bets. Right, the 340 race at Doncaster. So we've got the ledger of all races. This is now a Ballydoyle parade, of course. I'm going to come to you guys first. Jack, we'll carry on with you. You're in good voice there. So what's your view on the ledger?
It's tough ledger, this, I thought. I think Illinois is the rightful fav off the back of what that did last time out, running Los Angeles very close. You can obviously see why the return to mile 6 will be a positive for him. I have backed Jan Bruegel for this a while ago, and I'm going to stick with him. I think he certainly will. If we look back on this race in a year, I've no doubt this will be the best horse in the race, and I think this will be Group 1 12 furlong sort of horse next year for sure. It's just whether he's a little bit too babyish still at this stage. But I thought that education he would have got last time out in a disgusting little race at Goodwood, the Gordon Stakes. I just love the way he battled to win that. He could have easily spat his dummy out. Everything went against him, and he really fought to the line. So hopefully that's brought him on leaps and bounds. I'm pretty happy with Sean Levy. I think I was sat there watching the declarations page thinking sort of, please not Holly Doyle, please not Holly Doyle, and I was grateful to not get her, because he can be a little bit keen. But yeah, I think he's certainly the best horse to come from this race. Whether he's streetwise enough on Saturday, I'm not 100% sure, but for the purpose of this, I'll stick with Jan Bruegel.
Good stuff, mate. John, what's your view on the ledger?
I think Grosvenor Square might nick it, actually.
Really?
Do you think they're going to
Yeah.
ride him as aggressively, given that,
Yeah, because it worked.
but it might be at the detriment of the kind of warmth. I suppose he doesn't care if any of them win. That might be the main point.
Well, that's the thing, isn't it? They're all in them anyway.
Yeah.
It's not like Westerberg owns Jan Bruegel and has nothing in Grosvenor Square. He has. If they leave him alone, Gavin Ryan's quite capable of nicking 12 length, and I don't really see that he's been good enough to make up the ground. I mean, it took all of Tower of London to nail this one 2 runs back. I don't think there's a Tower of London in this, and I quite think he could nick it. I think he's certainly a trade option.
John, you make a fair point, like with Vauban 7 lengths further back, that's won a Lonsdale in that International Curragh Cup where you mentioned about Tower of London. Vauban 7 lengths back over a trip as well. 1 6 will suit Vauban better than the 2 mile where he was gasping for air. If Vauban ran his race that day, it's an incredible performance. So you might have got a point at the prices. I agree with Jack. It's a tricky ledger, but I do think Coolmore win it. I know that's a really obvious statement. I should be on ITV with these sort of comments. So I can add nothing to that other than that John makes a good point. I like cheering Jack's anti-purse bets on because, like I said, the lads had it rough this summer with some severe non-runners. The shirts caused that, and Jack deserves a good weekend after the hammering he's had all year with horses withdrawn from intended targets. So we hope you've enjoyed that. So what we'll do is, before we come on to Sunday's business, is cover off with a lucky 15. We've got 2 in, Subjective and Samaya at Leopardstown on the Saturday. So we need 2 more. From Saturday's racing, what are we saying? What would you 2 like to see in it?
I think we were quite strong on Kinross, weren't we, as a trio, probably?
Yeah, I don't think, even if the ground dries out a bit, it's not going to be York standards. And Doncaster's surface anyway is more all weather because it's sand-based underneath. As you know, Doncaster Ascot suits all weather horses. So we'll stick Kinross in at around, I think it's 9 or 4 at the moment, 2 to 1 maybe. So we've got Kinross, Samaya, Subjective, Do we go with a shorter price, or what do we do? Or do we stick a big one in to bolster the potential return? What are we thinking, John? Do you want your aftermath in?
I'd be perfectly happy for Aftermath to go for those.
Right, that's it. Because I think in a lucky, it's all right having 4 short prices, but whilst it's still nice to have 4 winners in a lucky, no one's going to get absolutely plenty of. So I think We'll go with John's aftermath.
Well,
I'm
if
happy with that.
Aftermath's giving any listeners a nosebleed, stick Big Mojo in instead.
Yeah. So if you like a short one,
Yeah.
what great advice. So there's 2 potential lucky 15s. If you like your shorties, go with Big Mojo together with what we've just said: Kinross, Samaya, and Subjective.
Oh, they were lucky 31 and then buy a fucking boat.
Boaty. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, buy a boat. Do the lucky 31. Yeah, in fact, that's it. We'll go with the lucky 31. Why not? We'll stick Big Mojo, and Jack's keen. I'm keen. Yeah, why not? John likes it as a saver to his bigger price bet. So we've gone for a Barstew's lucky 31. It's official on those selections. So hopefully we'll do well, and you'll all be singing our praises come Monday morning. Right.
Don't forget, in the 450 at Doncaster on Saturday, Red Admiral of Charlie Hills.
Of course, it's the maiden.
Charlie Hill's maiden.
It's the Charles Hills maiden. He always sends a nice one there. Showed absolutely 0 on debut, but of course it was in the convivial, which you could probably just stripe that occasion, etc., etc. But that's his maiden. He likes to win. Charles Hills, that could be a big prize winner for some there. He's booked Ginger Dave Egan as well. Right, on to Sunday then. Any other business? It's a fabulous card at the Curragh. We'd love to do it full justice. We just haven't the time to fit it in. So, any other business Sunday, Jack, that took your eye in the bigger races there?
Obviously waiting on decks and draws and stuff, but as things stand, the Flying 5, 3 o'clock Curragh, I was quite keen to be against Bradsell. He just had the charmed passage, didn't he, in Unthorpe, and
He
he's
run any race.
Yeah, exactly. Unlikely to get that, and he's had two stinkers from 2 runs at the Curragh, or in Ireland at least. So I'd be against him, and I think Believing is probably the one to side with. She's been totally rock solid. She's on the wrong side of the track at the Nunthorpe. They have opted for here instead of the Sprint Cup, but it's a stiff enough 5 there, and providing she's drawn pretty well, I don't think there's anything really in here that would trouble her. So I'd be quite keen on her. And then the 335, which is the Moyglare, I'm against the favourite Bedtime Story. I think whilst she's, it's hard to sound a bit of an idiot crabbing a filly that's 4 from 4. I thought she won a shit Chesham, and that's proven to be a pretty shit Chesham, with the exception of, well, nothing really. It's Brian's ran okay in a couple of races, but that's about it from there. And then I thought she particularly laboured last time out, when she struggled to win at 1 to 16 in the debutante. So I think this will be the strongest race that she's faced, and simmering for me, Ollie Sangster horse has done very little wrong in its life, and I still think that three-quarter length second in the Albany to Fairy Godmother, who for me is the best filly I've seen this year from the juveniles, is strong form, and she's gone and won 2 from 2 since. So she's an intended runner, I believe, and I think she'd be well worth a bet in that. But yeah, those are probably my 2 as things stand on Sunday.
Nice for the big racing on Sunday. Mine is in the National Stakes, a race I like to back the winner of. Hill Road is my selection around the 8 to 1 mark at the moment. We obviously wait to see the decks and make sure it's declared, but as long as there's no rain and it's not ending up soft ground and it's riding on top at the Curragh, Hill Road, I think, is going to run a big race. This is a very, very smart horse. Won it very impressively. We put it out for early bird. Chris Poole has arrived. Yes, so join the early bird service. Tremendous. We got some impressive prices there, Hill Road, and it was equally impressive in the run. It looks certainly a horse that he's definitely Group 1. Whether he's good enough to win this is an unknown. Henry Matisse is a strong favourite at 11 to 10, but I think that's very short. Henry Matisse beating the Striking Viking half a length and Hot as Hell of Mrs. Harrington's. I don't particularly think that's like really tremendous form to be 11 to 10. So 8 to 1 Hill Road, that's where I'm at. Hopefully the race might cut up a bit as well, make sure that we get the value. But I think this horse is the real deal. After watching the barrier trial, we were very confident this horse is top class. Hill Road for me in the National is my advice for Sunday. John?
The only one I'm really interested in at this stage is Elizabeth Jane in the Blandford. I think she can improve past Purple Lily. She was ridden chilly in the Irish Oaks in order to get the trip. She finished really well until the last furlong when I just thought her run flattened out, didn't probably quite get the 12. I think this dropped back to 10s Ideal. I expect it to beat Purple Lily.
Good stuff. Currently priced around the 5-1 mark. Each way a pleasure for John, I reckon, in that, if that's the sort of price she's going to be in the Blandford on Sunday. Hope you've enjoyed this show, chaps. We certainly have. We love getting together and doing the better racing and convening. Me, John and Chris are back for more waffle and bullshit on Sunday as usual. So I hope you've enjoyed this. That's all from us. Bye for now.